if you want to know the specific torque specifications for how tight I did them bolts, it's fucking tight. Hello. Right, welcome. Part 3. If you're watching this part and you haven't watched the introduction, part 1, then part 2, then, well, part 1 and part 2, you might not be interested in. Because unless you're doing it to your bike, you're probably not going to want to watch it. But anyway, part 3, we are going to lower this 2007 Softail standard using the kit from softaillowering.kit.com. Okay, a little bit dearer than just getting a normal lowering kit with the shafts that you've got to pull shocks out of and all that sort of thing, but probably going to be done. Look, I'm hoping this won't take long at all. I reckon the hardest thing, what you pretty much got to do is lift the bike up, pull the original hardware out that holds the ends of your shocks into your frame, and replace them with these spacers. I'll go through all that though, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long. I reckon the hardest bit is just going to be using my jack that I've got here, my bike jack, because I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to reach where I need to reach it. That's going to be that's going to take maybe a couple of attempts just so I can get to everything, because this is the stand I'm going to use, so I'm a bit worried that this bar's going to be in the way or something. So we're going to use that. We're going to lift up the bike. We've got to get to the shocks. They're under here. Okay, here they are. They're your shockies, and here's your screws, or your bolts, or your nuts. I always get that terminology mixed up under there that we're going to loosen. So once it's up on the jack stand, on the jack, then I'm going to use my wind-up jack over there to push the rear tyre up and relieve the pressure off the front of the shock. We're going to slide our new bits and pieces in, and that's it. You only need a couple of wrenches. I think it's a 3/4, and actually I got it out. You only need a 3/4 and an 11/16 and an Allen key, which I don't know the size of, but we'll find that out to get this job done. So it looks pretty straightforward. It looks overly straightforward. Hopefully it is. Hopefully it doesn't take long at all. I reckon the hardest thing is going to be getting it up on the jack in the right spot. Once that's done, bang, we're going to be into it. I'm not going to go 1.5 inch lowering. We're going to lower it 2 inches. No fucking around. If you can go lower, you always go lower. That's my motto. All right, let's do it. If you haven't watched part 1 and part 2, that is just the rear tail tidy we've installed. That's part 2. Part 1 was the slimline front indicators, which I bet you can't even lease. There. And then the first part of this whole thing is the introduction, and it's just explaining about how I come about to have this bike. It was my mate's bike that's no longer with us, and I'm doing it up as a bit of a tribute for him. So I won't go into that again, because if you have seen them, then you don't need to hear me dribble shit about that again. So anyway, let's try and get this stand under it. I always leave myself heaps of room. By the looks of things, I'm going to be struggling with this jack. It's just got so many bars up through it, and everything seems to be in the way, so I'm going to try and put it a little bit further forward, see if I can clear it. If the balance is way too up the shit, then I might be able to try come all the way back. let's just have a quick look at this before we jack it all the way up. Right, here's the shocks. There's the front of the shocks. And probably can't see it, but up in there, right above this, is the nuts we've got to get to. And we're all the way forward. So we're going to do a bit more wiggling around to try and get up under it with that stand. If not too sure. Might have to use another sort of a jack. Alright, got it up. Got her up on here, and just went and got a work light so you can actually see what's going on. Okay, so they're our shocks, and these are obviously on the end of the shock shafts. We've got to remove these, relieve some pressure off that back wheel. That'll pull these out enough to put our collars up in there on the other side to space them back. And then we install our new hardware and we're right to go. Okay, these smaller ones, as you can tell the size difference, they're for the 1.5 inch lowering. These ones here, the large ones, they're to lower it 2 inches. Okay, so we'll chuck them to the side. I'll just get them out now so I can get the Allen key and everything ready. Okay, pretty sure, without looking at the instructions, that's the way that these assemble. Now, I think there is internal, yeah, like rubber. I'll see if it'll come out. Yeah, so I don't know if you can see that, but there we go. That's actually another piece too. So this is the rubber bushing. That goes in there like that, and that goes like that. This is threaded, so this replaces the nut with the extension on it. That's how, that's the reason why you don't have to put the longer shock shafts in it. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go and check out lowering a Softail and look for one with the aftermarket shock shafts, and you'll see what I mean, not using this kit. And you'll see how much more of a pain in the arse it is. Alright, so we're pretty much ready to go. Okay, we've got everything here. You want to put a little bit of Loctite on these Allen key bolts, and probably on these nuts as well. It probably wouldn't hurt. Right, let's get going. Okay, so we've got our nuts off. These bushes here need to be removed. Probably just have to get a screwdriver and get under here and leverage them out. Leverage them out. Now, our new ones will go over like so on this side, but we've got to now try and get these shafts to go back in the bike. So we can put on the other side of this plate, the collars need to go up in there. So how do we do that? We're going to jack up that rear jack stand now, and that will pull the shocks out from underneath it and pull them out of them holes. You get what I'm saying here. That'll give us enough room to slide our little collars up in there and do them up, and if all goes well, we'll be done. As I'm jacking it up, I'll chuck the camera back under here so you can see what's going on. Now, guess fucking what? Of course, this piece of the stand, I normally would come up through the bottom, okay, and get to it, but in this case, I've got this in the way. So if you can see that shaft down in there, that's normally what you get to. So I'm going to have a quick look, see if I can do this, still do it. It's not a big drama, but I don't think I'm going to be able to get in there. I think I'm going to have to put the bike down again, then put this jack stand somewhere else, install it, and then put it back there so I can get the nuts back on. It's just one of them things. Not everyone's got the right tools. I want to make a quick note. On the rear shocky, on the shocky, they've got a rubber bush, okay, just before this nut looking thingamajigger. That, I thought that the collar went in front of that. Looking at it, it's a rubber thing that goes up against that plate in there. So this actually slides forward, okay, as far as we can get it, and then you put your collar up in here. It goes in here, up against the nut. I've decided I'm going to put it down and move that jack because I'm only doing this once. I may as well show you properly. I could maybe just get away with it, but I'm just going to try and relocate the jack just a little bit. One, it's going to help me out heaps, and two, you're actually going to be able to see what I'm doing. So by my calculations, I've got to only go about 10 mil forward. Now that everything's undone in the back, I've had to chuck just a piece of timber up under here so I can lower this down and then move it forward and jack it back up again. Pain in the ass, but what do you do? I'm going to go further forward. Just making sure that's right. I went a little bit, well, I went heaps further forward than I needed to, but hopefully now I can get between the bars to do everything up, but I should be able to. But when I say the bars, I mean the bars and the jack. So I'll jack this right up. Let's have another look. All right, I've got access to the back of the shock, and it's a bit awkward, but I've got access to the front. It might just be enough just to start things off, then I can lower it down and do whatever. Main thing is I can get in here, put the collars on, and do up our grub screws. So I'll start lifting that rear wheel up again, and that'll bring that further back so I can get the collars in there. We've got a bit of room to see it in here. So there's our collars. They will slide forward. Sorry, not meant to call them collars. Our bushes or grommets. And this is where our collars will go on. Alright, not gonna lie, I just fucked around for a few minutes trying to get this collar on. Now, I found a fucking easy way to do it. Now, it would not be that hard if you wasn't working with this lift, okay? Because it's got 1, 2, 3 bars, but especially these two are in your way. And it's just real awkward to get your hands up in there. I'm not saying you can't do it, but this is the way to do it. Put your little Allen key bolt in, okay? Leave a bit of a gap, maybe about 5mm, and it just gives you enough to go in there. I hope you can see. Nope, you won't be able to because my hand blocks the light. Alright, hold on. But you just go in and it just scissors over it. Look, how easy is that? Then chuck your other grub screw in the other side and Bob's your auntie. I'll try and show you it again. Alright, over the top, why is that getting caught on everything? Oh, I'm going the wrong way. So, we go over the top and we just flick that around like so, bang, it's in there, ready to put the next grub screw in. Remember to put some Loctite on these because they will come loose. Okay, that's our collars put in. Now you'll notice they do spin, okay? In the instructions, it does say they will spin on the shaft. Don't know. That's what it says. So I'm just guessing it's so they'll centre themselves a bit better. And I mean, once they got that pressure against them and they're screwed up tight, I mean, they're not going anywhere. They're not going to move. Okay. Next step, we got to put the front bolts back in. That entails now we can release that back wheel. That'll come down, will be nice and tucked up under the guard now. Them spaces are under there, and hopefully we don't have to move too much around again. Instead of spending all that time undoing that jack, I'm just going to jack it up, and let's see where that tie's sitting now. Oh yeah, that looks better. Right. Good. Yeah, and it'll be a little bit lower. Again, once it's sitting on the ground. Let's see if we can get to these bolts. We can, it just depends how much work we want to do. Alright, that's them there. Let's see if we can get this to work. Just a quick one. We've got our nut that we've pulled out. You should have this rubber bush and outer washer thingamajigger and the center. Okay, so that, and what we're going to put in there is this. This is what replaces all of that. So make sure you've got at least that. that's how much a pain in the ass that centre bar is. It's everywhere. You don't want it to be. But it's alright, persevere. To be honest with you, if I could go back, I'd probably lift it up and put a nice thick lump of wood under it. So I didn't have to worry about where it sat. But anyway, it's probably added about, it's not that bad. It's probably added about 15 minutes onto the time. It's been pretty quick, to be honest with you. Even with rearranging everything, this has probably taken, just to get to this stage, which I'm pretty much nearly done, about half hour. So it hasn't been too bad. If you want to know the specific torque specifications for how tight I did them bolts, it's fucking tight. Let's get this out of the way. Stop. Oh, that wasn't a good idea. Next episode could have been me repairing the street bob. Oh, fuck. All right, done. Let's check her out. Yep, definitely a lot lower. Well, obviously, it's meant to be. It is roughly 2 inches, I'd say. The bottom of this guard was sitting about there previously. So it looks a shitload better. We're starting to get the look now of it. Starting to get it tucked up under there. It's all going together with the tail light and the tidy front end. I wish I got a few more before and after photos. Now, recap. If I was to do that again, I don't think I'd worry about using that a bike lift like this. Now, you can do it, obviously. I just did it. But I think I'd jack it up, just a normal jack with a bit of wood under it. Get it up and then, chock it. Or, just put a nice square bit of timber under it. You've seen how some people make them. But something like that, block of wood there, underneath it. Now, I'm not telling you to do that because I don't want to be liable for your bike falling off, but what I'm trying to say is you need to get a small footprint underneath the bike. These are just too big and bulky. To reduce the footprint size, it would make it a hell of a lot easier. You can work all around the bottom of the bike. Well, that pretty much wraps it up. Honestly, I think if I didn't have to muck around with a jack and, once you had it up there, I think it would take about 15-20 minutes max to do that. That was ultra easy. There was no issues with everything. Everything worked the way it's meant to work. So that's probably one of the easiest kits, that you can come across. Right, this is episode 3 done. The lowering of the bike. Episode 4. I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't know if I'm going to black out that rear wheel, or not that rear wheel, but this one here, and put that under it, and then do the spokes, or move on to blacking out the motor. I don't know now if I want to. Now it's starting to sit a lot better. I'm starting to have some second thoughts about it. I think it would look better with a blacked out motor, but yeah, I'm kind of liking the black and chrome, it's sort of how far do you go. Now, what I will more than likely do is we're going to go into a seat. I've got a Harley Davidson brawler seat, and it's a solo seat. these things look fucking tons better with a solo seat. I'll keep that one for when me and the missus go on a ride. I think I said that in the introduction, and I may have been through this before, but I'm going to uncover it and get some custom stitching in there. So that'll be episode 4. My upholsterer is fully booked out, so we're going to try something a little bit different. Not me, it's not going to be me doing it. That will be in episode 4. Custom seat for Softail. I don't know. Anyway, that's it for episode 3. Thanks for watching. The Black Dog Bike Build.